So I know Nick just covered a lot of the new features from the Oracle database point of view for 23 AI. And I really wanted to go through what we're doing just overall within GoldenGate. So a lot of the new features, they're actually out there for everything that we're doing within GoldenGate. So from a native cloud perspective within OCI GoldenGate, from a heterogeneous perspective to be able to support MySQL or Postgres or Microsoft SQL Server. We've had a lot of questions come up around big data overall. So same thing within big data. So one of our biggest things, or my biggest thing, so it's not necessarily our mission, but when we look at it, we know we have the best in breed replication service, being able to move data in real time, but making sure that we're always expanding that lead and being the best for you guys and the best for our customers. So that's always a goal for me and in everything we do, but also making everything as simple as possible. So making it very simple. And then when we look at what we're doing in the cloud and within our native service, also making it super affordable so that anybody can use GoldenGate and the power of GoldenGate. So that sometimes has been a hurdle in the past. But as we've seen within the cloud, we have thousands of deployments, and I'll hit on that again. But that basically means that we have thousands of users that are out there using microservices, using the UI, using the API every minute and doing that work. So a lot of users, a lot of people hitting that. And we can actually see that in real time. And our DevOps team, our support team, they're out there supporting that service and helping you guys move forward. So we'll go ahead and jump in here. So as I mentioned, one of the big items that we have overall is just making sure that GoldenGate is as simple as possible. And when we think about the GoldenGate platform, there's more to it than just replication overall. So there's data transformations, there's the stream analytics, being able to do the continuous ETL. But what do we do overall to make it as simple as possible for you as a customer with the overall user experience? And as we brought GoldenGate into the cloud, that's been one of our focuses. So we actually get to see, well, how are customers using our product? Where are they running into problems? What are some of the hurdles that they see as they go through? So a lot of the enhancements that we made in 23 AI were feedback from those types of customers and feedback from customers that were using 21C overall with microservices, because that's where the UI is. And then how do we actually enable the user experience, not just the user interface, but the user experience with admin client, with using the APIs, with the REST calls, being able to Terraform everything out. So there's a lot where we're thinking about user experience and user interface, but we've definitely taken a lot of that feedback. And the overall UI is very different, but one of our biggest items was being able to have it be performant and have you be able to get to the things that you wanted to do. So being able to create extracts or change a credential for a DB connection or get into performance metrics or see distribution service and path as simply as possible. And then there's other areas. So key for me is when we're running OCI GoldenGate as a native service, there's certain things we can't do. So we don't have access as a customer to the file system. We don't have root access. So we need to be able to handle everything through the UI or through the admin client or through an API. And that's where, say, certificates or just having integration within single sign-on federated IAM within OCI or within Azure or as these other multi-cloud environments come online, the ability to manage trails. So something that we saw initially with OCI GoldenGate was initial loads of terabytes within the first week the service was released, and something that we may not have thought people would be doing that quickly and using 8 terabytes of storage right off the bat, but that was happening. And then how do we make sure that we're purging that data and getting rid of it? So having trail management be a first-class object. Integrated diagnostics as well. So how do we package up diagnostics and make sure that you can see how your service is running, being able to get your AWR reports, all that information directly in front of you from the API or from the UI. And then considering everything we do in the API needs in the UI needs to be able to be driven from the API as well. And that's always the first class way that we would implement anything in the UI. It's a public API. You can see it by going out and looking at the dev tools of any browser. Service-specific UXs overall. So from the service administrator to be able to have multiple deployments, to being able to get into the administrative service, to be able to manage, monitor, create your GoldenGate processes, being able to get in and have your manage your distribution paths overall from source into your target GoldenGate services, being able to manage all the metrics. So if you wanted to see your virtual memory, if you want to see your cache, if you want to see the statistics on how data is moving through, that you can view that and get down into the exact details that you want with hopefully a minimum amount of clicks. And so a big item there. I mentioned as we've really taken this big focus on cloud, but just overall on overall user experience is diagnosability, observability, and being able to manage everything within GoldenGate itself. So adding in the AWR collection or the enhancements for AWR, being able to manage the trail files, StatsD integration. We had a question about that come up that I answered as well, but we're going through that. And the replication advisor, so being able to have the integrated diagnostics for integrated extracts and integrated replicats. So these are really big areas. And so the replication advisor, you can execute that directly from the UI, from a trail management point of view, that you can purge trails. You can actually archive trails, so you can have them stored somewhere in object store as well. And so in case you needed them, that's more of an on-prem use case, but we see that in the cloud as well. And then probably everybody on this call is aware, if you've been using GoldenGate, that GoldenGate gets blamed a lot of time for performance bottlenecks. But I would say mostly like 95% of the time, it's a data issue. It's an issue within the database itself, where maybe there's a lack of index, or maybe there is an index that's making the insert be slow, something else, because we're logical replication. We allow that target database to be very different from the source database. And there could be all types of things, or data didn't exist on the target because something happened within the initial load. But using the AWR report to actually drill into that and work with your DBA or somebody that understands the source and target data to understand that. Also, the StatsD telemetry. So for that, observability overall, but we actually utilize this internally within our native OCI GoldenGate. So being able to have the telemetry pushed directly in the StatsD format, and we can consume that, push that into OCI logging, have it available for metrics, alerting, alarming. But you can do that as well. So when you're within your customer managed deployments, you can have that pushed into Telegraph. That gives you time series metrics, the ability to do analytics across all of your metrics. So actually, probably mentioned this a couple of times in this, but I'm kind of a hacker overall. So like, I really like to do different development in my free time, stay up late at night, doing things that I want to do. And this was really cool to be able to see how I could generate this different types of metrics across time and see these statistics. And I think even if we were to go back 10 years, from a GoldenGate point of view to our customer summits, this is an item that we've seen year after year. When we used to do the Larry Bucks, where would you spend your money? This was a big area that people would want to be able to see, is from day to day and even year to year, how are my GoldenGate processes running? Cloud native. So another key area for us overall is cloud native, and all of these features that we look at, they're all part of cloud native. So OCI GoldenGate, our cloud native service, it runs on GoldenGate 23 AI. So all these new features are there, and you can use them at any point, because we're really cloud first. All of these new features and functionality are going to show up in OCI GoldenGate first. But a lot of these are built to make it easier. So focusing on that ease of use overall within GoldenGate. So I also mentioned that within OCI GoldenGate, we've been focusing on the overall platform. So when we released GoldenGate within the cloud, within the managed service, it was for Oracle database to Oracle database first. And we've continued to add in this breadth of sources and targets. So we brought in all of the big data technologies, from the real-time sources and the real-time targets, all of the heterogeneous as well. So MySQL, Postgres, and all the different variants, Microsoft SQL Server, Azure, all these areas that we can use as a source or as a target to do real-time replication. And then being able to bring in GoldenGate Stream Analytics as a first-class deployment within OCI GoldenGate. So you can spin that up. It can be elastic. We take care of all the patching and all that, all the processes involved within that. And so that's available today. We also have the ODI, or data transforms deployment type. So you can spin up and create a new deployment type to allow you to do batch ELT directly within OCI GoldenGate. And actually, all of these are complementary and they all work together. So we can use Stream Analytics to automatically generate GoldenGate processes for real-time replication into Stream Analytics. The same thing for data transforms. We can create, start, and stop GoldenGate processes directly in data transforms. And so really neat how all these tie together. And then same thing, as we move forward, the 23 AI GoldenGate platforms were launched in May, and we'll see. I know there's a question about big data, so big data is coming online any day. The non-Oracle items are already out there, but another key area for us to be able to launch those cloud first. And then I had a question about Veridata. So Veridata is another big focus for us, and it's coming later this year, and we'll see that. So we know it's been re-architected. It has a very similar overall look and feel to our other products, and it'll be a new deployment type in OCI GoldenGate. So OCI GoldenGate, from a US dollar point of view, is $1.34 an hour. We can scale it up and down. All of these deployment types follow that same architecture. Veridata would be the same way. Jeff mentioned database at Azure. We just announced the GCP, so actually we'll probably, as Jeff said, probably hear from more as well. But it's really neat to see these multi-cloud vendors come online with us as well. So one of our really great success stories that you guys have heard, because they presented at one of these meetings as well, was American Airlines. And they're using OCI GoldenGate to be able to replicate data into Azure. And we have hundreds of customers that are doing that same exact thing. And it just makes sense for us to be able to run the database services directly into Azure, as well as some of our other services as well. And we're able to do this completely end-to-end with real-time replication with OCI GoldenGate and streaming as well, from an OCI data center into the Micro Center Azure data center. And our team, so Julian on our team, has worked closely with our database team and with the Azure team to be able to create a technical white paper. There's a blog on this about how we can set this all up and be able to work through this end to end. And one of the great things about having this partnership is how closely we've been able to work with the Azure development team to be able to come up with new features. So one of those is really around site recovery. So HA within Oracle environment is going to be around using in the cloud a marketplace instance. So we have our high availability marketplace instance that we can spin up and use the Platinum architecture to be able to provide HA. And we can do something very similar in Azure. So we can use the Azure Site Recovery to provide that same amount of HA. And we're working with that team right now to have that certified. But we've done a lot of work to be able to test it out, make sure that it's all working correctly. And again, that's in a customer managed environment, but it's all there. And we'll see that same level of partnership with the Google team as well. So working closely with the Google team, I think there's going to be a lot of great things that come out of that partnership and relationship as well. So non-Oracle and big data technologies. So when we think of, or when a lot of people think about GoldenGate, they're definitely thinking about GoldenGate for Oracle database, real-time replication, high availability, cross-region, around the world, being able to provide this global transaction fabric. But really, when we look at it, that GoldenGate in our history is not an Oracle database itself. Our history is in heterogeneous. And we really are the best, and probably the best by far, with a lot of these heterogeneous capabilities. So just being able to do Mongo to Mongo bidirectional replication, being able to do Postgres to MySQL, MySQL to Postgres, any of these combinations, and Jeff showed it in his slide, but any of these combinations are possible. And we have customers that are doing this pretty much with every single environment. So we're not going to have one customer that is Oracle to Oracle or Microsoft SQL to Azure. They're going to be using all of these technologies. And then they see how successful they are within these technologies, and they're going to expand into the big data areas and the analytics environments as well. But this is key for us, and this is a huge area of investment within our team overall. And this is another area that we'll always take feedback from. So if you're working with other tools, or you see something that you would like us to do better, or how we would work with these different technologies that we may not support from a heterogeneous database point of view, we'll take that feedback as well. I may already have it in the Q&A, but a really big area for us, and really areas that we go really deep and best of breed in our technology overall for capture and for delivery. GoldenGate for distributed analytics. So when we think of this term, distributed apps and analytics, it's a lot of our big data sources and targets, as well as microtransaction manager. So microtransaction manager allows us to do more application-based transactions. So being able to do long-running transactions within an app, try, confirm, cancel, those types of things. But everybody on this call is probably a lot more familiar with just big data overall within GoldenGate and being able to capture from some of the big data technologies, but also being able to deliver in real time. And I would say if when we look at the polling and we look at the customers on this call, there's a very big part of our customer base that is doing only big data, and they're using GoldenGate for big data because it's the best of breed to be able to deliver into Snowflake, or as we'll see within Databricks or Kafka, and a lot of customers that are using it just for this. And then they actually go the opposite way and they say, oh, why aren't we using this within our Oracle database to Oracle database as well, or within our Azure environments for our database? But really big customer adoption here, and still being one of our fastest growing areas within GoldenGate overall. So just put this on here. If we take a look at Jeff's top picks, and I could have mentioned this in other areas as well, but I think this is a really good area to talk to it, is that within big data, a lot of areas where our customers are on the bleeding edge. So they're out there using these technologies that have really only been around for a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe at most. So Databricks delivery using the Databricks API driver, supporting Delta formats, the Google BigQuery stage and merge delivery. We've had support for Snowflake, but bringing in the streaming handler, the Mongo bidirectional replication that we talked about. So really big areas. And these are great solutions that our customers have already undertaken. They're in production and they're working through these. So it's great to see these somewhat bleeding edge implementations and projects for our customers. Databricks stage and merge. So I just wanted to kind of have this. So for all of our big data targets that we have, stage and merge is a key concept for us. So being able to have the operation aggregation for all the inserts, updates, and deletes that are happening. So we have multiple updates and then a delete, we would apply the delete at that point. How do we aggregate those operations? And then having that go into the staging area and then actually merging that into the target. Well, GoldenGate and our handlers, we manage all of that. So there's nothing that you as a customer have to do out of the box. We set up the replication into the big data target, and all that is handled by GoldenGate. And we do this for any of the big data targets that we support. So whether it's Snowflake or Databricks, and actually even the storage format that we're using, that's all configurable within GoldenGate itself. So from anywhere that we support being able to capture data, into really anywhere, but for stage and merge, all of the big data targets. And then also being able to handle the streaming. So this is all configurable if we wanted it to be at a very low commit value. So we're not really, as far as the operations go, we don't have to do operation aggregation, but we can also configure it so there's a lot of aggregation there as well within the commit size. So the last item that we have, so the data streams and PubSub async API, and Jeff had this on his list as well, and a couple of the items that he mentioned would be number one overall. But I think this is the number one cool factor. And so for me, again, as a hacker in my free time and in my spare time, this was one of the kind of coolest areas as we were bringing this to the market and GAing this. When first time I got to have my hands on it, and I do a lot of Java programming and Node.js stuff on the side. And so I'm very familiar with async API and how you would handle the async coming in, not from a change data stream point of view, but just being able to use async API. And for us, the data streams is able to publish these real-time events, and then anybody can consume them from async API in a PubSub manner. So we actually provide that YAML file, and from any of these client code generators, whether it's Python, Node.js, Java, you can connect up. You can actually see how we can express that metadata from the YAML file and able to consume that. So there was a question, I think I was maybe answering it while I started this, but a question about how we can consume this and push this out from on-prem into the cloud. Well, it really doesn't matter, especially when we're using async API, because it's up to the app developer. The app developer can consume that change data stream. They can push it anywhere they want. Of course, we also make it easy if you're just doing, say, on-prem to big data somewhere. That could just be a normal capture and delivery process. But if you're doing something in the middle where it goes to another app, this is a great feature to be able to do that. And one of the other really good things is that we see is that customers are always putting Kafka in the middle when now they don't really need to. So Kafka as that store, being able to allow for that pub sub directly in Kafka. But now we do that directly from GoldenGate. And data streams is available in all of our distributions. So whether it's Oracle database, all the heterogeneous, if we have capture within big data, but it does require that GoldenGate for distributed applications and analytics license overall, but it's available in all of our distributions, and it's also available in the cloud. So it's part of our native OCI GoldenGate in the cloud. And it's really easy to set up. So follows the path that we had, but there's some new functionality here as well. But just creating a source and having the data stream, you can apply object level filtering and be able to filter out data as it goes through. But once you create that data stream, then it's actually connecting up with the client, as we said, with the YAML to be able to see the metadata coming through and how would you use it. We have a really good blog post on this and the demo as well coming that will be out in the Docker container that we have, and it'll be available too. So that's all coming. Same thing for a live lab. So we'll see that soon. And then just to kind of wrap it up on really how this helps your developers, your team be able to capture and work with these data products is we look at this conventional classical transaction outbox. So probably something that I was actually developing as a consultant 20 years ago was an outbox because we had an application. We knew that we wanted to consume this application data change, and we wanted to push it somewhere else. So how would we do that? Well, we probably have a distributed transaction that would go to our database. We'd also push it somewhere else, maybe in a two-phase commit. And then we'd consume from that outbox by polling on that outbox. We'd push it downstream to wherever that happened to be. That works well, but then all of the onus is on the developer to ensure that they're doing this correctly and the data makes it there. What happens when it doesn't? How do you fail back on that two-phase commit? What does that really mean? So there's a lot there. But then bringing in the transaction outbox with GoldenGate and Kafka, and similar is that the application is doing that two-phase commit or insert, but then GoldenGate is actually picking that up in real time, and we're able to push that data in real time. So here it could be Kafka, and then now we can have that pub sub within Kafka for our data consumers. But then as we move into data streams, it actually gets a lot better. And so not only do we have the ability to say how that works within the application to be able to do the insert and two-phase, but now GoldenGate is going to create those channels that can be subscribed to with the async API. And now you can consume that. So we don't have the need for Kafka there. We're providing that pub sub out of the box with the GoldenGate data streams. And all that configuration, again, is out of the box. So we're providing the YAML. All of those clients are going to be able to understand it. And it's very easy to set that up and move to and consume the data. And then really, for me, as a developer with my developer cap on, this is kind of the nirvana overall, is that when we get into 23 AI duality views that's coming later this year, is the ability for us within the database is that we can have this dual view. So we can have our base tables, but we can also have, similar to a SQL view, but we can have this business view of JSON. And GoldenGate, of course, can understand that, and it can understand that business view, and we can take that data directly from there, and we can push it downstream, and we can subscribe to that and be able to deliver that into our applications. So instead of now our application having to build and shape that data into our application message, we can do that directly in JSON. So we can see here, this yellow line really isn't doing much, or it's not doing anything. So there's no insert here anymore. Our data is being inserted, updated, and deleted. That data exists in a JSON message. We would know how to consume the change data events from there within the GoldenGate data streams and then deliver it to our downstream application. So that's pretty much everything that I wanted to share. I probably got us even farther off track, but or off the time track. But I also wanted to hit on this because I know we're going into this upcoming with our next topic or two topics from now. But award-winning data integration overall. And I know for a fact that I wouldn't be on a team that wasn't the best overall, and I don't think anybody else from a product management point of view within Oracle would be. And that's why we're here every day, and we want to make sure that we stay the best. And we know we are the best, and we want to continue to be there. So from a Forrester Data Fabric point of view, from the Gartner Magic Quadrant, that is our goal, to continue to be there.